Hello everyone, it's Jen from Jen DeBell Designs, and we are going to get started on this fun album. I'm going to start with the cover here, and I have already used my chipboard and black artisan cardstock to wrap in the lay flat method, which is linked below. And what we will have here is 3 6x9s. These require 3 pieces of artisan in 8x11, so you want 1 inch all the way around. And then our spines are 1 inch, and we have 2 of those. So these are 4.5 by 11, and the chipboard is 1.5 by 9. Okay, so I have those together. And then for the inside, when we cover our spines, you'll have 2 4.5 by 8 and 7/8 pieces. So we are going to get started by, I'm going to flip my scoreboard sideways because this is the way that I like to do this. And I might actually do this the flip way, where we just really get a good burnish going on these. Yeah, I don't want to bend this. It's not, I don't want to crack my paper. Excuse me. It's one of those days where I'm going to lose my voice, it seems. I can hope not, but we're good. Let me grab my bone folder here. Got a really good burnish, and a good burnish with the back side as well. So I like this nice and flat. And then I am going to add some score tape. I'm just using 1/4 inch because it's what I have on hand right now. And I don't want to go right next to the edge. I want to give myself about 1/8 of an inch, almost 1/4. And I'm just going to run 2 strips, and then I'm going to use glue in the middle. And I will go ahead and put that on the other side as well. Like I said, a little more than 1/8. I got that one a little closer than I usually do, but that's okay. We just don't want any adhesive to peek out when we put our spine on. All right, let me give that a good burnish. And I am going to run my bone folder back in there because I don't like the way that looks. Kind of buckling a little, and I am not a fan of the buckled look. All right, I'm gonna grab my, if I take the cap off, maybe I'm gonna grab this. I'm gonna pull off my score tape backing, grab my trusty art glitter glue, trying to make sure I'm completely in frame for you here, and then I'm gonna run the glue down the middle and a little bit up on that glue as well, just for added strength. I'm going to grab one of my 6x9 panels, and I like to line this up in my chipboard, in my scoreboard, and get that pretty close. And then I'll flip that over and give that a good burnish. I see the one thing I did not grab when I was getting stuff together is my little trusty rag to get rid of all that excess glue that might decide to come out. All right, then I'm going to turn it upside down. I'm going to peel this score tape backing off. Grab another of our 6x9 panels. Oh, I might want to put the glue on first. Getting ahead of myself this morning. It happens. I thought I hadn't had enough coffee, but maybe I had too much. I'm a little hyper this morning. All right, next 6x9 panel. Right up in there. flip that over. Give it a good burnish. All right, and then I'm going to set this aside, and I am going to grab my other spine, as this is a trifold. You know me and my trifolds. I love to make the trifolds. All right, add my tape. And you don't have to use tape. You don't have to use glue. You can do both like I do, or you can choose one. Some people like to use the permanent tape runners. However you want to adhere your pieces, as long as you're using a strong adhesive, you should have no problems. All right. Now we are going to get that together. And I need to make sure, yes, I got this right. I'm going to start on this side. Peel off that backing, because we'll bring the other panels that we put together in and connect them to this one as soon as we get this one on. Add my glue. All right, and we're going to put this panel on just as we did the others. Okay. My printer is next to me making all kinds of noise. I'm not quite sure why that is, but it has decided it wants to make noise. Let's see, I don't know if I burnished that, so we'll give that a good burnish. Peel the tape off. Well, we're peeling the backing off, not the tape. I'm going to add some glue. Now, because this is a trifold, it's a little trickier to use the scoreboard. Oof, I got that a little too far over. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pull my scoreboard a little out of camera frame. You'll still be able to see this end piece here. And we are just going to bring this one in and up to where it needs to go. A little too far. Oh, a little too far. Let's go that way a little bit. I don't like that big gap there. Okay. And now we can burnish that one. And now, as you see, we have our, this one's upside down because that's just how it ends up. All right, I'm going to pull my scoreboard out of the way for a moment. And we are going to put our panels on, our covers. So these, again, are 4.5 by 8 7/8. And they will go right across here. And there's just about 1/8 of an inch. Not quite, but about 1/16 of an inch on the top and on the bottom. And you just want to add glue to the back of this. And I'm also going to add glue right next to that chipboard. This will help with the fibers breaking down a little. I just like to add extra glue. It also gives me a little more open time, which is nice. And you just want to line that up with the flaps from your, that are there, from putting that spine on. Okay. Just gonna burnish that. We probably will have some glue seep out because I do use a lot of glue when I do this part. All right, I'm going to let that dry just a bit, and we're going to put the other one on. Go ahead and put some glue down here. And we'll put that one on. Get that lined up. And give that a good burnish. You want to get a good stick. Surprised I don't have more glue seeping out everywhere. It usually happens. All right, so now you will notice that your album is quite stiff. And we're going to go over to the first section that we glued together first. Lost my garbage can. And I am going to use a bone folder, and I am going to gently start to bend this. First, let's put a little lightly, don't push too hard, light score line here, and then slowly start to bend this. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing on the second score line. Now that this is a little drier, I'm able to start to bend this. Okay, and we'll go to the other side and we'll do the same exact thing. Hopefully that one is dry enough. Start to bend. And you just have to work this slowly and gently. You do not want to crack your paper. It is paper and you have to be gentle with it. Iridescent is one that does not normally crack, but there are bone folders out there that are a little too sharp. And if you happen to be using one of those, it is not impossible to crack your paper. We just want to get a nice fluid line in there. And I am not cracking, which is good. Try this one. And excuse my head if it's in the frame. I really want to get this one worked so it does not have any problems. All right, now I can see my album fully. And this is what you will have. Easy peasy stuff. Now, I'm going to clip this while that glue dries. Just going to grab a couple clips over here from my stash. And I am going to clip this closed and set it off to the side. And then we can get into the signatures. This album will have 3 signatures on one of the spines. I don't intend to put anything on the second spine. It'll just be decorative. So what you will need for that is a piece of the Iridescent that is 4 inches by 8.5 inches. Okay, because that's what our pages will be as well. You're going to score this at, on the 4, at every 1/2 inch. Okay, so 1/2, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, and 3.5. Okay. Then what you're going to do is you're going to go on the back side, which is where you can see all my writing. We're going to put score tape on every other, well, maybe not every other, just let me think here. This is a space. We're going to skip 2, and we will put 1 piece of score tape. Skip 2, put a piece of score tape. Okay. All right. So, I think I did that right. I hope I did that right. Let's see here. We are going to fold, and then we'll fold back. And that is our space. And then we're going to fold here. And that is our space. I'm trying to get this. Basically, you're just folding back and forth. I just want to make sure that I did this right. And I don't think that I did now that I look at it. Something is off here. I'm not sure what. Okay, we have this under space. Oh, yes, I did. I folded that wrong. Goodness me. Leave it to Jen. All right. I'm going to burnish my lines, and then I will show you again what I've done here. So that is a space. This was a gusset, space, and gusset. Okay, I did it right. I just didn't show it right. So, let's fold this one back. All right, so we have this space, space. This is what you will have for 3 pages, okay? So now you can go on the back side and remove the score tape, backing from each one, and then just gently burnish over that tape. I like to flip to the other side when I'm doing this one because your other pieces will try to get in your way. All right, so this is what we'll have. I'm going to burnish this a little better. This is going to go on our spine, hold our 3 signatures, and it is 1 inch, so that leaves a 1/4 inch to the front and a 1/4 inch to the back. And we'll put that on when we put our signatures on. All right, let's dive into these signatures. So what I have here, the first signature, you will have, I need my little notes here because, you know, got to keep track of what I'm doing. So we have our base, which is 11 1/4 by 8 1/2, black artisan. I'm going to move my camera just a bit to make sure you can see everything here. Yes. All right. So we are going to score this at 1/2, 3/4, and 6 1/4. Just reinforcing my score lines here. And that is our base of page 1. Then you're going to have a piece that is 6 by 8 1/2. We're going to put this in the scoreboard at 6, and we're going to score this at 1/2. Okay. Next, you're going to have one that is 6 by 9. This we are going to score at half on the 6. We're going to turn it to the 9, score at half, and then back around to that 6, and we will score at half again. This one we want to miter, so I'm going to cut the little squares at the bottom out. And then I'm going to miter those edges. And I will also miter those top two as well. And this is what you will have. Okay? Get that mess out of the way. Finally, you will have a vertical pocket that is 3 by 9.5. You're going to put this in the scoreboard at 3. I'm going to score this at 2.5. And then I'm going to flip to the 9.5. I'm going to score at a half. And I'm going to score at, I'm going to flip it around again, and we're going to score at half, just to be sure. This one, we're also going to cut the squares. And if you're not sure what I mean by squares, when you make those score lines, it leaves a little 1-inch square in the bottom of each. And that's what I am referring to. We just cut those out. Also going to cut the tops. And there is our vertical pocket. So that is what you will have for signature 1. So let's assemble this. So I have a little prototype over here that I am going to take a gander at to make sure that I am doing this the way I wanted to. Yes, okay. So, side A of your base, you're going to fold on that score line, and I like to use my scoreboard because I like to make sure that my paper is all lining up before I do any burnishing. I like everything nice and cohesive and straight and crisp. And there's that. Okay. So that is that. The left flap that we did, the 6 by 8.5, we're going to go in and we're going to go ahead and miter the sides of our 1/2 inch. And we are going to fold that back. Is it back? Yes, back. Go ahead and burnish that so you get a nice crisp line. We are going to add glue to that. My glue is bubbling over. I must have too much air in the bottle. Oof, I did not mean to get glue down there. That is not good. Okay. Pick up your piece so that you have the side with the 1/2 and the 3/4. You want to butt this up right at the bottom of that 3/4 inch score line. So, don't go over it, just go right beneath it. And I feel like this piece might be a tiny bit over the size it's supposed to be. Not quite sure how that happened, but I will put it in my cutter and fix it here in just a moment. Go ahead and open that up, and we will fix that. Yeah, it is. It's a little bit long, a little bit longer than 8.5. Let's take a gander here. Oh yes, definitely longer. Okay, I'm gonna go to the side here and trim this a bit. All right, that's all fixed. So now this flap goes in, this flap will go on top, but we are gonna take that tall pocket that we made, which is the 6x9 that we scored on 3 sides. I am gonna choose to do this inward so you don't see my writing, even though I'm gonna cover it with paper. I always try to put that on the underside. All right, and burnish all these lines so it's nice and crisp. Okay, this is going to go on this page. So we're going to add glue to all of those score lines, or score lines. I'm just not awake yet. I need more coffee. I was wrong. I meant to say gussets. And then this, we want to make sure that it goes right to the edge. Wait, did I do that backwards? This needs to be on the inside of the pocket. So flip your little flap over and we will put this right on there. And I feel like this is a little wide too. I think my cutter went a little rogue on me. As you need this to go on this pocket nice and straight, and mine is just not, it's not cooperating. Let's see here. Pull your pocket, your flap up, and I want this to be all the way at the bottom. And I feel like it is, but oh, it is just too wide. I'm not sure what happened here. Give me just a second to figure out what has happened to this. Okay, so somehow my panel here that should be 5 is a tiny bit less than 5. I'm not quite sure how that happened. So I would suggest measuring yours first. And if it's like mine and it's just a hair under 5, like mine is, when folded over, it probably has something to do with the score line. Then just do the same on your 6x9 for your pocket. If you've already done it, just move your score line over a little bit on one side and you should have no problem. So I just recut mine to be a little bit under 6 by 9, but your panel, depending on your scoreboard, right there might be exactly 5. So I'm going to go ahead and do this again. We're just going to add glue to those 1/2-inch gussets. And I'm leaving that in my video so that you can see that it definitely is fixable. No need to pull everything apart. All right, so I'm going to pick my panel up like so. And I am going to butt this up to the edge. And make sure everything is fitting. Yeah, that's much better. All right. And burnish all of those score lines. All that glue down. And just double check. Yep, everything fit that time. I'm not quite sure how that even happened, to be honest. It should not have. But stuff happens. All right, I need my bigger bone folder here because I want to make sure that has got a nice flat edge. I'm going to open it and do the same. All right, so now we have our pocket, top loading pocket here. Okay, now there's going to be, well, I feel like this is too long. I don't know what the heck is going on here. This should be 6. And I think maybe I just had some issues when I did my scoring. This should be 5.5. And it is. I don't know. This is just a little less than 5, so it's okay. No worries there. But again, we are a little over 8.5, so I'm going to trim. All right, so now everything is the way it should be. I'm just going to burnish that line down. We are going to add some magnets. So I'm going to grab my small basic grays. I'm going to get a plus, and I'm going to get a minus. I'm going to put those together. I'm going to peel the backing off of the plus. If I can get it to peel off. And I want that on this door here, somewhere close to the edge, but make sure you leave enough space so that you can cover it with paper. And then we just take the backing off the minus, and we will close that. And when you lift it, there's your magnets. Okay? Easy peasy stuff. All right. On the back side of this, we will have a vertical pocket. The vertical pocket that we made, that is the 3 by 9.5. I am going to go in and fold all my score lines down. If they fold, this one's being kind of crazy. I'm going to get a better score on that because I don't think that one wants to fold. All right. Try that again. There we go. I just had a power outage. All right, I'm back. That was fun. So an hour without power, I guess, is better than several hours. Looks like somebody hit a power pole up the street and knocked out our power for a little bit. So we were on our vertical pocket, which is this little guy here. And I'm noticing that I did not miter mine quite well enough. I don't really like my pocket corners to overlap too much, because then it's really hard to get inserts to sit in there properly. So you want to make sure you're right above that score line when you do your mitering. And I had not. So, all right, now that the excitement's over, let's put our pocket on. And you know what, I'm going to mat this. I'm going to use temporary tape just to show you where this is going to go. And I will glue it on after I mat and decorate this page. So you have your, we're sticking here. Oh, we got magnets. So this is your base. I'm going to flip this over, and then you'll see your 1/4 inch there, upside B. And you just want to bring your pocket right up to that score line. Don't go over it, just right up to it, and it will adhere right there. Okay, so that is signature 2, or excuse me, signature 1. I'm getting ahead of myself here. All right, we're going to move on to signature 2. I don't need that anymore. Signature 2, we're going to have a few pieces. Again, you're going to have a base that is 11 1/4 by 8.5. We're going to do the same thing on this one that we did on the other one. We're simply going to score this at 1/2 and at 3/4 and at 6 1/4. Okay, I need to turn my page of my own notes here. This, our flap, is going to go to the back. So I'm going to get that lined up in my scoreboard, and then I'll burnish that out. we're going to have a top flap on this page that is 5.5 by 8. You're going to want to score this. I don't know why I wrote 8.5 right there. You're going to want to score this on the 8 at half. Maybe it was supposed to be 8.5. Let's just see here when I burnish this what we get. So we have this on our page. Yes, that's what I wanted. I didn't want it to go all the way down. And we're probably going to do something fun with our bottom corners here. This is a little wide. I'm having some struggles with my scoring, and folding is causing my pages to be a little shorter. So let me just cut this off camera really quick. All right, so then I'm just going to miter those tops. I'm going to go ahead and burnish that a little better. I just noticed that I did not burnish that top flap. Most of this album we'll be able to put together all of the signatures so that you don't have to wait for the walkthrough to see the decorating portion done first. I designed this one so that most of the pages can be added, and then I can do my decorating later. So I'm just going to go in. I am got a clogged glue here. Always something. First the power, now the glue. Goodness. All right, I'm just going to put glue on that 1/2 inch. And then bring your page in. Remember to make sure you're on side B, or excuse me, side A, so that your scoring for your 1/2 inch and 1/4 inch are at your left. And don't let that go all the way. You want it next to the score line, the 1/4 inch, but not over it. So just make sure, and then you can look at the back and see. And if for some reason it's a little bit over, you can always trim. Better to trim from that side than to put this on top of your score line, because we need that to bend. All right. I am feeling like this needs a little bit more burnishing. Okay, so under that flap, we are going to have some stacked pockets. And so we will have 2 pieces that measure 6.5 by 3. We're going to do one, and I'm going to make sure it fits, because I seem to be having some scoring issues today. So here's our 6.5 by 3. We're going to put this in at 6.5. We are going to score this at half. Turn to the 3, score at half. Turn again and score at half. And then we can go in and cut those little squares out. And then we can miter. And I will miter my tops as well. Clean up my mess. And I am going to fold backwards. Although, no, I'm not. I'm just going to cover it with paper so it does not matter. And you can still see my measurements. Once I get this all folded, I can see if I need to do any more mitering, which it seems to be okay. Go around and get a good burnish on my score lines. I'm not quite sure why I have a puckering corner here. Just gonna trim that off. I'm not sure what is happening today. Okay. So your stacked pockets, I'm gonna make sure these puppies fit before I do anything else. Yes, they fit. Okay. So I'm just going to add glue to those 1/2-inch gussets. Got that one a little tall here. All right. And then you want to bring this in again right next to that 1/4-inch score line and across the bottom. Make sure it's lining up nicely. And burnish. Okay, so there's your first one. Now I'm not worrying about matting this first because I'm just going to mat up the top of the pockets. So we'll grab our other one, 6.5 by 3. This is the second pocket. We're going to score it half at 6.5. Turn, we're going to score again at 2.5. I'm doing 2.5 this time because I want to make sure that my pocket is exact, and half. Now you could just do corners, but this time I'm just going to go ahead and do both, all the score lines, to make this a little simpler, and use that line as a guide when I put my pocket into the other one. And my writing on this one's upside down, but like I said, we cover it all with paper, so it's fine. All right, so we are going to miter. Do the same things we did with the last pocket. Miter our tops. And then you want to fold these two down only, the sides. We don't need to fold and burnish that bottom one. That is just a guide for sliding into your pocket. We'll pull this up and just make sure that everything is fitting, and once that we know that it is, we can add glue to those two side gussets. Remember, we're not gluing the bottom one. That line is just going to make it so that you can line this up perfectly with your bottom pocket. And once you have it on there and in line with that score line, everything will be nice and straight, and you can just burnish down those side gussets. And then I like to take my bone folder and just kind of run it along the edge here just to see that it's lining up with my paper, because sometimes our scoreboards and our cutters make things a little different than what you want them to be. And we don't want that. So now we are going to add a magnet here. So again, I'm going to grab my small basic grays, grab a plus, grab a minus, pop those together on the bare sides, leaving the stickers facing out. I'm going to peel one side off, and I'm going to do this way. Make sure that I have enough room to cover this with paper. There we go. Yeah, it should be okay. I'm actually going to lift that and go up a little higher and a little more in the middle than what I originally did. I'm going to peel that backing off of the minus, put our flap down, and that should pick up your magnet, just like so. And that is the A side of Signature 2. Clean up a little mess here. Yes, 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 I am a messy, messy crafter, I am. But I think we're all a little messy. I just like to try to clean as I go so I don't have a giant mess at the end. So that is side A. Side B, we have we're going to have a vertical pocket. So we have our flap already. We're going to have a vertical pocket on this side under that flap. So you have a 2.5 by 9.5. Put that in your scoreboard with the 2.5 at the top. And we're going to score it 2. Turn, so the 9.5 is up here. We're going to score it half. Then we're going to turn again, and we're going to score at half. And we are going to do our mitering. Cut our little squares, or miter the cross section, however you choose to do your mitering. You may have a tool that does it for you. I am going to get me one of those tools. I see a lot of my fellow designers use those tools for mitering. I just haven't bought one yet, but I will. All right. Once you have all your mitering done, go ahead and fold all of these and burnish all of my score lines. And I will be doing all of my decorating of my signatures, and then I'll put them in the book and show you how they go in once they're decorated. So there is our pocket. Nothing is overlapping too badly here. Maybe a little, but that's okay. All right. So you have your side B, your 1/2 inch and 1/4 inch on this side with your flap over here. I want to make sure to dry fit this. And it fits. So I am not going to glue this because, just like the other vertical pocket, I want to do my decorating first. But I want to show you where this goes and how this is going to work, because this will also have a magnet. So this will just go right up to that score line, just like we did the other vertical pocket. Just like so. And it will go right here. And again, you need to see how much space I have. We're going to do a plus and a minus. Lots of magnets in this book. And I will tell you that my favorites are definitely the basic grays. I find that they stick the best. They have the best hold of any other ones that I have tried. I'm just doing the same thing. I'm peeling that off, and that gives us our magnet. So signature 2 is done. Finally, we have signature 3. And again, we have our base piece that is 11 1/4 by 8 1/2. Score this at 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, and 6 1/4. Now, this one, we are going to turn. I shouldn't have wrote there. I can black it out with a pen. So this you're going to turn to your shorter side, which is this small flap over here. You want to score this at 4 1/8. Flip it over and do the same thing. Score at 4 1/8. And that's going to leave this little 1/4 inch right here in the middle that we're going to cut out. Hopefully you can see that 1/4 inch there. And I'm going to use a pressure cutter. If you don't have one of those, you can use a blade, or if you are really precise, you can use scissors, but you really need this to be nice and straight. So I don't recommend scissors. I don't know that I can get this fully in camera for you, but using a spring-loaded cutter like this is your best bet, because you're going to get a nice straight line and you can watch where you're cutting. And once you have those two out, then you just flip this up, and I will trim that with scissors. And if I feel like it's not pretty, I will trim it a little more, which mine wasn't. So I'm going to cut a little more of that little square out of there. And that's going to give you these two. Let's see, I'm going to go this way because I'm going to cover those with paper. I'm going to fold these this way, like so. Make sure that they line up before you burnish. They should line up with the bottom and they should line up with each other. And then you can really see if you need to trim a little bit more of that guy off, which I do. So I'm just going to carefully go in with my sharp little scissors and fix that. Okay, so get rid of this compression, spring-loaded cutter, whatever you want to call it, and show you what's next. So now you have this fun, I've done this before. You're also going to have a very small flap that will go here. This flap is 3.5 by 8.5. It's just under 3.5. We don't want a full 3.5, but we don't want quite down to 3 3/8. So I'm going to score this on that just under 3.5 at half. Easy peasy stuff here. I am going to miter. And I am going to fold that down and burnish. And I might go back and round some corners you will have seen in my walkthrough if I chose to do that. All right, I am going to make sure this fits. Always dry fit your pieces. It makes for easier stuff. We're going to add glue to that 1/2-inch gusset we made. I don't need the glue that I just spilled. And then you just want to fold back. Sometimes it's easier to fold back that 1/4 inch give space and give it a burnish really quick when you're doing these kind. And then put your flap on. That way you can line it perfectly up with your page. See? Well, you can if you're not Jen today, because Jen can't seem to line anything up today. All right, once you have that, give that a good burnish on both the outside and the inside. I don't have quite enough glue in there. I'll re-glue that. All right. Did that slip? Oh, I slipped. Don't need it to slip. There we go. All right, there's our flap. And you can pull that back out. These will go here. Now, the reason for the flap is we're going to put 2 pockets on these that will line up with this flap, and then tags can go in these pockets, which the collection I'm using, this Doodlebug, has adorable little tags we can use. So we have 2 of these that are 3 by 5 1/8. We are going to score on the 5 1/8 at half, turn, and we are going to score at 2 1/2 and turn, and we're going to score at half. And my writing's going to be upside down, but that's okay. Do a little mitering here. These, again, I will not be gluing down because I need to do my matting. But I will show you how they work and where they go. using my trusty repositionable stuff. All right, these will go on your flaps at the bottom of them. So this is what you will have. You will do the same thing with the other one. You want to line these up nicely. And then when we have our tags, they're going to hold this down. So there's no need for any magnets on this page. Okay. So for the other one, do the same thing. We're just going to score this at half. We're going to score at 2.5. And we are going to score at half when we flip this. And we will do our mitering. And I am going to burnish this one the other way because my writing is not what I want to see. And there's my other pocket. And that one will go on the bottom flap, like so. So that is the side A. I'm just going to put this stuff all with a paper clip here together so we can move on to side B. Might have to move the paper clip once we get over there, but that's all right. Okay, so side B, there is stacked pockets, under flap. There's no flap. I don't know why. I would have had that say that. This. Oh, I see what I saw. I'm losing my mind today, people. I'm on signature 3, not signature 2. Woo! Okay. 2 by 9.5 is our belly band. You want to score this at 1/2 inch. I'm going to flip this. 1/2 inch on both ends. So we're going to go to 1/2, flip it around, and we're going to go to 1/2. And then you want to miter this. And we will fold and burnish our score lines. And again, I am not going to put this on with glue because I need to do my other stuff. So this will go, again, you're on the B side. You want to bring this to the close to the middle as you can get it. And nice and straight. Is mine nice and straight? Who knows? Mine is definitely not in the middle, but I will fix it. Then you're going to have our last piece, which is a little bifold. So this is 8.5 by 5.25. We're going to score this at 4.25, right down the middle. And then we're going to fold that over. I'm going to just use my scoreboard, which, you know, I like to do to make sure everything is lining up. This will actually glue on to our belly band. And we'll open like so. So you'll just put this on. Once you have your belly band centered, take a pencil and lightly put a little line at the top and the bottom, and then you'll know where to place your glue on that belly band, and then you can adhere this. And I am not sure if I'm going to use a magnet yet or a tie. So when I get to that, I will either throw another excerpt in here to show you how to do that, or we'll do it when we put the pages in the book and I'll show you what I did. All right, so for the inside of the album, I'll do a couple things here. This is, I'm going to set this aside here. This is our front cover. So, or excuse me, this is our front cover. This is our back. So we have our spine piece on the first spine here, and this will fold like so. So where we're going to be working is on this front inner panel. And we're just going to make 2 simple vertical pockets that will go on that. And so for that, you will need 2 pieces of black artisan that are 3 by 10. We are going to score this first one at 2.5 on the 3. So with the 3 across the top, we're just going to score at 2.5. And then we're going to turn this, we're going to score at half. And we're going to turn it again, and we're going to also score at half. Okay? For the other one, we're going to do, on the 10, we're going to score at half. I'm going to turn, and we're going to score at half. And then we're just going to put this in, and we're going to make little square marks at the 1/2 inch mark. Flip it over and do the same. Now, if you want to put a line on here, you can just do it very lightly. We don't need this to be, so I barely put my scoring tool up against that. And that way it just is a line as a guide when we slide it in, because these are vertical pockets. So we're going to want to cut these little squares out of this one on both sides. And then we're just going to go ahead and miter. On both of those. Technically, you don't have to miter that bottom one. I just do. I don't know why. And then I'm going to go ahead and miter my tops. And then our other one, we're going to do the same thing, but this time, actually, we're just doing the same thing. We are going to miter and cut those squares out on both sides. I usually like to cut my square on one angle and then go in and miter to the next portion. It just works out better for me. And I'm not going to adhere these, but I am going to show you where they're going to go. I still need to do my inside decorating. So we are going to fold our score lines. Boy, that's not a very good score. Let's score that one a little better. It's not wanting to fold, so I obviously did not get it scored very well. That's better. So I am going to fold and burnish all of those score lines that we just made. It's giving me a little resistance there because it is so long, but this makes for a nice wide pocket to put a larger photo mat into. That's another good burnish. All right, I am seeing some issues with my corners here. I think I need to miter a tad bit more off of these corners because I don't like that overlapping too much, and I don't like the look of the little corner popping out on me. Really got to get to the top of that where that score line begins. There we go. All right. And then we have our other one that we're just going to fold and burnish the sides. We're just going to leave that little line that we made as a guide. And I'm going to grab my temporary tape really quick here and show you where this goes. So again, you want to make sure that you're working on the side that we put our accordion spine piece on. So that first one, just going to go ahead and I'm going to add some temporary tape so I can show you where this goes. So this will go on first, close to the spine here. Not all the way up against it. Just go beyond your white border paper, that mat. And once you have that on, this one will simply slide up to that line, and we will just adhere those two sides. And then you have a spot for two different photo mats to come out. This one will go all the way through and this one will go all the way through. So that is that side. For the back side, we're going to make a waterfall. And this is the inside of this. So for that, we are going to make a pocket and a waterfall. And this is my prototype for the stacked waterfall. It's going to make it all in one piece. So you will need 3 pieces of black artisan, all at 5 inches, 5 by 10.5, 5 by 9.5, and 5 by 8.5. So we're going to start with that 5 by 10.5. We're going to put it in at the 10.5. We are going to score it 4. Turn all the way around and do the same thing, scoring it 4. And I just want to make sure my score lines are nice and crisp. Then for the 9.5, we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to put it in, we're going to score it 4. And we're going to turn it around and we are going to score it 4. And lastly, the same thing with the 8.5. Score this at 4. Flip it around and score this at 4. Then for the pocket, you have a 7 by 2 3/4. We're going to put this in at that 2 3/4, and we're going to score it half. Flip it around, and we are going to score both sides at half. So flip it again, and score it half. And we're just going to miter now. I'm going to miter up to my corner, and then I'm going to miter down. Miter up to my corner, and over. And I'm going to miter my tops, just because I can. And we are going to fold and burnish all the score lines of that pocket. This will let you know before you do the bottom. If you do the sides first, you can kind of see if you're going to have overhang now. And I am, so I'm going to go in and I'm just going to miter a little bit more so I don't have that poochy little edge on my pocket. And I'm going to miter or burnish. Jen can't talk today. So we are going to put together the waterfall pieces now. I'm going to turn my scoreboard sideways. This is a good way to do this. I should see the bottom here. I'm going to grab my glue, which I've let sit open, so I'm probably going to have to unclog it. I hate it when I do that. Forgot all about it. All right. So first we're going to grab the largest piece, which is our 10.5, and we're going to set it on that scoreboard, lining it up. So that first score line is at the 4. Then we're going to grab the piece that is 9.5, and we want to fold as neatly as possible. I'm going to use my scoreboard here as a guide to get that nice and straight. And that's going to give you this with that 1.5 inch space on the back. We're going to put glue just on that 1.5 inch area. No need to go beyond that. You can also use score tape for this if you prefer. And you want to just bring this in and go right up to that 4.5 on your scoreboard, making sure that everything is lined up. And if you have the 1/2 inch spacers from Country Craft Creations, these come in really handy for this area. So I can see that my waterfall is not going down quite as straight as I would like it to, just by putting this in. I want to make sure that I am at 1/2 inch, and I am now. So now I'm just going to go down and burnish all that glue, and we're going to flip that open. I'm going to set my little 1/2 incher here, our other piece, the one that is 8.5 inches long, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to put this down on my scoreboard to make sure everything lines up before I burnish. And it does. Put glue on that 1/2 inch space. And we're going to put this right in at the 5. I want to line up my spacer bar there. And that looks good. So I can burnish. And then we are going to get this scoreboard out of the frame here. And I'm going to go through and fold the other side of each one of these down. So just burnish and fold those over. And do the same with all of them. Oops, I grabbed 2. I didn't mean to do that. That one is a little on the crooked side. And you can fix as you're doing this. Just gently line everything up and then gently burnish it all while doing so. And then my last one. There. And there we have our 6-page waterfall. And I see one that's kind of bumpy in here. I'm going to give that a good burnish. I'm just going to go through and do that on all of them. If it looks a little bumpy, I will fix it. I'll get this last one to do as well. Just make sure your pages all line up side to side. And then you can flip this either way. It'll go this way, it'll go this way. As long as these tabs are all 1/2 inch, you've got it all nicely lined up. That will work. So now we're at the back panel of our album. So essentially, this is going to go our waterfall. And I could have made this a 7-page. I chose to do 6 just because I didn't want to put it all the way to the top. Our pocket is 2 1/4 and will fit right at the bottom of the page here. It will get adhered once I add my paper, decorative paper, and then my waterfall. And then I will have a photo mat or some sort, probably a bifold, that will slide in here and it will hold this closed. So that is what you will have. I feel like this is a little short, but it's not. When you do your pocket, just make sure that you don't get it too close to your fold. You want to make sure that when this opens, it's not going to be in the way. So your best bet is to bring it all the way over to this side rather than all the way over to the side next to our spine. And then, like I said, this you will just adhere in this space here, the 2 inches on the back, and line this up so that you have a little bit of space above and a little bit of space below on that pocket. And that will be that. That is my album. And I probably will be back with, well, no, I won't probably. I will be back to show you how to put the 3 signatures in. And then, of course, if you saw the walkthrough, you know, and we're also going to do something here on this backside. All right, so now we are going to put our signatures in the book. There are 3 of them, as you know already. And I have, on our accordion spine piece here, I have mitered both ends of those tabs and added some 1/4 inch score tape. Now, I like to put mine in from the back one first to the front one. Sometimes, but this time, because there's only 3 and they're kind of thick, I'm going to do it starting with the first signature. So I want to make sure that that tape is down really, really well. And then I'm just going to peel it back partially. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and peel it all the way off. Yeah. we'll do it like that. And then I like to add a little bit of glue. It adds some stability. And I will say too, I put my 1/4" score tape on these 1/2" tabs right in the middle because I don't want my pages to touch the spine. I want them to have a little bit of space. You can also use the spacers. This is about 1/8 of an inch thick. So if I put that up against there when I set my page down, it's not going to go past where I want it to. So here's my first signature. We have our 1/2" tab here, and then our 1/4" of give space. And I'm going to line this up because it's going to be a little bit longer. And I want to make sure that I'm getting it pretty straight on. But like I said, not all the way up again. So I have just this teeny little piece. I'm going to pull that out of there. As you can see, I probably have about 1/16 of an inch is all that you see. And the way that this was done, these are 8 3/4. So if you put this on here, you should have exactly the same on every single one of these. So they line up nicely. So there's our first one. I'll pull off the tape of the second one. Add a bit of glue. Don't need a lot of glue. It just gives you a little more open time so it doesn't just grab that tape and stick. And as you can see, all of mine are already decorated, but you probably watched the walkthrough and saw that. Now you can also, another little trick to make sure you're putting these pages in exactly the same is to line them up with that bottom and top of the flat portion of the spine piece. And just pull it back just a bit because I don't want it crooked. And let's see, line it up with that last page. This system has been working way better for me than the way that I was doing my hinges, which is where I was putting each page on its own hinge and putting them in independently. And sometimes the pages weren't getting lined up perfectly, and I want them to be a little straighter. So I went back to this method. All right, the last one, add my glue. Maybe a touch more glue. All right, I am gonna cap off my glue here. And this is the last signature. I'm gonna line that up. All right. Got a little bit of glue coming out of there, which I do not want. And go ahead and burnish the back side of that as well. And there are our signatures. So I had mentioned that I would do something here. What I decided to do here is just simply put some photo matte layers. So I did the green and the pink coordinating, and then I put white 65 pound smooth here. And then I just used a scrap of the paper, and that is, let's see here, let me give you the measurements of this. Our page is 6, so in order to put it on the paper in the background, it's 5 3/4. So I made this 6 1/4 by 1 1/2, and I scored on 3 sides. So these 2 sides and across the bottom at 1/4 of an inch because I wanted this to be a little tighter pocket. I didn't want the 1/2 inch. So that is what I decided to do there. And that will be the back of that. So all I have left to do now is add some of the fun ephemera and stickers to some of the pages and finish up my cover, and this album will be all set and ready to go. And I will say one more thing. you could put, if you prefer it, I'm going to put a ribbon closure on this, but if you want this to snap to the front cover, you can add a magnet here on this side of this inner page, and then one over here on under this pocket, and it'll kind of snap to it a little bit better. I am not doing that. I'm just going to put my tie closure on here. I'm okay with it being a little floppy on the inside. It's not hurting anything. And I have lots of room for my pictures and such. So that's my album. And like I said, you will have seen how I decorated the cover and the back and the spines in my walkthrough. So I also will tell you, I have quite a bit of this, not quite a bit, but a little bit of this paper left over because I was fortunate enough to get the 6x8 as well, and I didn't use as much of it. So I will have a couple bonus projects, at least one, pretty soon with this paper. So stay tuned for that, and have a wonderful crafty day. Bye-bye for now.